Coach, I know it's good to be home, have home cooking, see family and friends. Is there ever a tendency to get too relaxed being at home?
I don't think so. I don't think that you can you have the luxury of getting relaxed in a playoffs, and in a playoff series. Certainly, I think you feel like a sense of urgency with the series being 1-1, and I feel like our players know that and are ready to go.
There's been a lot of conversation about how these two teams are really similar in terms of like defensive mindset, but Cheryl was saying she felt like there were more differences and similarities. Do you agree with that? And what do you kind of see as the main ones?
I think there's differences in how it gets executed. Certainly I think there's similarities in how in the numbers and the emphasis, certainly defensively. I think it's just different in how we go about it.
So Cheryl mentioned that her team had a lot of live ball turnovers in game two. So what does a successful game defensively look like for you guys?
It looks like them not getting as many open shots as they got, in game two. I didn't feel like we really had a high attention to detail. I felt like there were times where we had poor closeouts, where we were poor in our ball screen execution. And we don't have the luxury or the margin to be able to do that. So for us, it's them taking the shots that we want them to take. It's finishing plays with defensive rebounds, and then that igniting, our offense and our pace.
Back here. Ty looked pretty good out there in warm-ups. I guess, how is she looking and feeling? And do you expect her to play a bigger role than the 6 minutes that she played in game two?
Yeah, she looked good yesterday in practice, I thought too. Yeah, I certainly do expect that. That was I didn't feel like she looked confident out there, and it was a short sample size, certainly. But in a series, we don't have the luxury of having a bigger sample size in that moment. So I thought she looked really good yesterday in practice. I thought she looked good in shoot around today, so I certainly expect her to be available and be impactful for larger minutes.
Still coming off the bench, or
yes.
Hey, Julie. I think I came up in August and I saw you guys kind of working on stuff, maybe late in the practice. So it might not have been stuff but it was cool. It was off ball stuff. It was handoff stuff, and I thought it was tight. And then I watched you over the end of the season work on it in games and get better at it. And by the time you spread against the Fever, it looked really clean, and then it looked good, clean in game one. And then you mentioned that their pressure might have got you to dribble a little bit more. How does those things like change over time? Where it's just like, hey, we're getting it. Maybe we're still working on it, but some things can kind of affect your ability to execute the things you're working on.
Well, I think you got to give credit to Minnesota's defense in game two. Certainly, they came out, they were a little bit more physical, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more disruptive, and that affects timing, rhythm, spacing, all of those things. And it's what we like to do on the defensive end of the floor too. So I think, some of the time it's that, other times it's our pace, how quickly we get into actions. Pace isn't always just getting up and down the floor in transition. It's our hard cuts, our movement patterns, how quickly we're getting into action, and being willing cutters, especially when you're cutting with great pace, opens things up for your teammates. It's just as good as a screen, and it allows us better spacing and better pace into our handoffs that you might be alluding to. So I think there was a little bit of slippage, but they had a lot to do with it, with their defensive pressure. Yeah, I mean, that's just part of the natural part of chemistry, timing, the work, right? And so for us, it's when it's really flowing, I think we feel good, we feel comfortable, we feel confident. It looks good, it's pretty to watch. And when it doesn't, it looks awful, like it did in game two. So I think I think our team trusts in it. I think the team understands what we have to do to be better. But at the same time, again, give Minnesota credit for taking us out of our rhythm and our timing.
Steph, two-part question. The first one is just, how do you get Breezy going on offense to hopefully get you guys going on offense that way?
I think the first thing we have to do is, number one, we have to be in a position to pass the ball. We weren't in a position to make passes to Breezy. Our passing angles were poor. And we've got to do a better job of timing of when she's open. she's open for a second or two before we're delivering the ball. And by that time, they've swarmed. They've brought another player, or they're showing another body, or they're able to get 3/4 on the high side. Their activity level, I felt like with Breezy, has been really good. So we got to do a better job of setting screens. We've got our passes have to be on time and on target, and we've got to be in great positions to make the pass. That's been a point of emphasis for us over the last couple of days.
The other one is, over the course of this league, it's been rare that there have been mid-season trades.
Mm-hmm.
You guys made a big one to get Marina, and they made a big one to get Maisha, and both are helping them out. Is that a wave to the future that maybe they see more of that, or just you guys both benefited from something you're able to get a piece to help you get where you are right now? I
think we're going to start to see more of it, just like we hadn't seen a lot of free agent movement, in our league, and over the last few years we have. I think it's the natural, trajectory of the growth of our league. We're going to start to see more of a lot of those types of things that you might see regularly in different professional leagues. So yeah, I think we're going to start seeing more.
Any other questions for Coach? All right,
thank you.